Anyways, going into third down, NFL news, and I'm not going to get too far into this. Earl Thomas incident. I was going to read part of this article from TMZ, but out of respect for Earl Thomas, 'cause I do like Earl Thomas, I have to mention it, but I don't want to get too far into details. Again, a lot of this stuff is alleged, but obviously, what's not alleged is there was an incident that occurred where a gun was pulled and put to his head by his now wife, I believe. I believe they're still married, but just a bad situation for Earl Thomas. There was a report coming out that the Ravens are potentially thinking about cutting Earl Thomas because of this incident. Obviously, as of right now, he didn't do anything wrong as far as like a crime is concerned because he wasn't arrested. His wife was. But as far as just having that negative media around the organization, the Ravens are trying to win a Super Bowl, and having something like this, around their team or just floating around is going to bring bad press. So I understand why they would get rid of him. And usually, good organizations do that no matter who you are. I feel for Earl Thomas in a situation, and not what he allegedly did, but again, I'm not going to touch that one. I was actually going to read some of the information from TMZ, but you all have a computer, you have a cell phone or whatever. Check that out at your own during your own time. The details of that story of him and his wife and his brother and the wife's 2 or 3 other friends who also got arrested. There was also a story about Tom Brady and Josh McDaniels as to Tom Brady leaving leaving the Patriots because of Josh McDaniels. I'm not a big believer of that, but Gary Myers here, who, let's see, he's a New York bestseller, Brady versus Manning, that's his book, and he's an ex-NFL columnist for Dallas Morning News, tweeted this earlier this week saying, "It is hard to present an order of why Tom Brady didn't want to return to the Patriots. But one thing has been very much overlooked, according to an excellent source: his deteriorating relationship with OC Josh McDaniels. Tom was worn out by Josh after all these years. That surprised me." That's what Gary Myers said. Again, you could look for him on Twitter at Gary Myers NY. But he's basically saying that was kind of the reason why Brady left. Now, I'm not buying that. I'm sure Brady had issues with McDaniels and Bill Belichick, but just to say that he left because of McDaniels, I don't see that. I mean, they've won a championship together, and it seems like Tom Brady's all about winning. So it wouldn't make sense for him to just leave because he had a bad relationship with the OC. If anything, I'm sure Robert Kraft would pick Tom Brady over Josh McDaniels if Tom Brady said, "I don't want him here." So, and plus, they had an opportunity to get rid of Josh McDaniels when he accepted that job for the Colts, but for whatever reason, the Patriots kept him there. So, again, I don't see where that story is coming in. I don't know if it's accurate. Again, I'm not going to question Gary Myers' sources. He doesn't have a blue check mark, so that's already a knock on the credibility in the Twitter world. But it is what it is. And then next for NFL news, Deshaun Watson. So this one was interesting. So Doug Gottlieb. Hopefully I definitely didn't pronounce that right. But anyways, he tweeted earlier, "This is beyond idiotic. The idea that the league evaluates quarterbacks on race in 2020 is just dumb, disconnected, and bitterness from 40 years of transgressions. Trubisky isn't as good as Watson and Mahomes. The Bears evaluated them all and missed. That's it." So, I mean, to a certain degree, I agree with Doug. So let me talk about this, because Deshaun Watson then replied, and this is what actually made it news. He said the Bears never once, and he put never once in all caps, talked to me. So the Bears didn't even talk to him during the evaluation process at all, and they knew that they wanted a quarterback. You had Trubisky, Deshaun Watson, and Patrick Mahomes, and I'm not gonna say they didn't talk to Patrick Mahomes, but they didn't talk to Deshaun Watson at all. And he had just come off of winning a national championship. And looking like the best player in college football. So here is where I agree and disagree. So if you have a quarterback or if you have a GM and a coach, they're trying to keep their jobs, right? They're trying to keep their jobs year in and year out. You're on a year by year basis. Now you might have a contract, but you best believe you mess up, the team is going to fire you. All right, they're investing a lot of money into their GMs, their coaches, and their scouting department. There's no way in hell that if Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes are, if they are way better than Mitch Trubisky, which I think everyone believed at the time. I didn't think Mitch Trubisky is going to be that good. I think Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes were like clearly better than Mitch Trubisky under any circumstance, however you look at it. For a GM and a coach to kind of skip on them just because they're black, especially if they're that much better, they still have to keep their job, right? I don't see it affecting that. But if they're close, like say it's like they have the same grade for each of the court. Say they had Trubisky and Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson all at the same level, like same grade evaluation. Now I could see coaches and GMs picking who they connect with better. And we all know that when you connect with, you're more likely to connect with someone that shares similar interests. And there's not many black GMs in the NFL. I can see that. But if they're like clearly better, I don't see them saying, oh, we're going to take the third best guy, even though we have two elite quarterbacks. We're going to take the third guy who's not elite just to make a point. That I don't see. Again, feel free if you disagree with me. Again, I'm willing to talk. Have these race discussions, but again, with this, I do agree that they evaluate. Now, I don't know, they didn't go that far into evaluating Deshaun Watson for whatever reason, but they evaluated all of them and decided Mitch Trubisky was the best one. Now, I believe that because then the Bears traded up for Mitch Trubisky, so clearly they thought someone was going to trade up to get in front of them to get Mitch Trubisky, which is even stupider. It's just a stupid scouting department. I don't think you could say anything more than that. I think in this situation, I think this was just a terrible call by the Bears. And again, there are some, situations in the NFL, scouting and otherwise, where it's, there's some race involved in decision making. But in this case specifically, I don't think that's one of those cases. Again, if you disagree with me, hit the comment section. I want to hear what you guys got to say about that. And then Joe Burrow waiting to sign, after this COVID-19 stuff. So ESPN staff writer Ben Baby stated in his article, there's no concern that any of the deals won't eventually get done, but as teams build their budgets with the potential for loss stadium and TV revenue in mind, it's possible someone wants to hold on to signing bonus a little longer than they would in a normal year. So Burrow's signing bonus as the number one overall pick will be close to $24 million, a number high enough to impact the team's short-term cash flow. So I do see that because again, the NFL season is kind of up in the air right now. They're selling tickets. The schedule's out, and hopefully I get to go through the schedule next week during the next podcast because I definitely want to give my predictions on each team. But it makes sense for the NFL teams to kind of, make sure that they're not putting themselves under. It's just good business. Now, as a player, I would be pissed. Like, I have no control of the situation, and I'm the number one overall pick. I don't care about what's going on. I want my money to be right in line with what the other guys were getting before me, and not a dime less. I could see where there's a little hesitancy. So he's just waiting to see how everything plays out. In other news, Todd Gurley's waiting for his money from the Rams. I'm not going to get into too much detail on that one. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars signed Mike Glennon that one made it on the podcast because it's Mike Glennon. He's terrible. He is terrible. And he just, for whatever reason, finds a way to jump on teams. I mean, this is insane. Mike Glennon lost his job to Mitch Trubisky. All right? Let's just leave it at that. And you guys, let me know what you think.